The following is a podcast from a qualified senior care provider heard on the Answers for Elders radio show.
And welcome back, everyone, to Answers for Elders Radio Network. And we are here again with the lead audiologist, closing out our hour with Hope Lanter from here.com. And here it has been just such an eye-opening journey for me. And there's oftentimes now that I'm on the other side and I'm wearing hearing aids, I'm sitting there kicking myself. Why didn't I do this earlier? And I think that's probably a real common scenario with a lot of people, because a lot of us, like me, we waited a long time. Tell us, I guess, the question that I have, Hope, is, obviously there's a lot of individuals out there that have diabetes or dementia or different sorts of conditions. And obviously hearing loss can be affect those conditions. Is that correct?
It can, and really somewhat of a bit of a back and forth relationship there. With diabetes, we know it's due to the blood sugar being very low or very high, or just not well controlled, essentially creating blood flow issues. And obviously with heart disease, that's what we're seeing there. That can create a major impact to the hearing nerve in terms of it not functioning properly. And so, obviously that's the direction that's going. When we're talking about Alzheimer's, where we're talking about the brain stimulation there, we know that the brain is a use it or lose it place. And so if we stop stimulating the brain with sound, even though we've talked about how, yes, the brain can rewire itself to work with sound, if we leave it absent for too long, then we actually have the brain not really remember or learn again how to use that sound. With Alzheimer's and dementia, we know that we see a dramatically faster progression of both of those when we don't put hearing aids into someone's ears when they need them. And so we see that it can rapidly progress that, even with just mild hearing loss, 2 times faster. But we know that it gets more and more the more degree of hearing loss we see. Sometimes we'll see a mistake of Alzheimer's dementia when it is just hearing loss. I've had a patient before that came in, his family said, "Oh, he's got dementia, we know it." He had a caregiver that was with him all the time, and she said, "I don't think that's what this is. I really do think this is hearing loss." And it was interesting to see that as soon as you put hearing aids on, it changed everything. He was responding, everything like that. So, it's kind of like I told you yesterday that we were going to the doctor tomorrow. If you never heard it, it oftentimes looks like you didn't remember something. So it's a kind of a tricky thing there. But we do know that because the brain is basically, it's something that needs exercise. It needs stimulation. And then we take away one of the senses like hearing, it makes a major impact. So with something like Alzheimer's and dementia, that when you add in that also that sound deprivation factor there, we see that things can get moving along much quicker than we would want them to, but it's something that can be at least helping in the prevention perspective there.
Well, and the other thing that when you're saying, how many times has my husband said things to me over the years that he would say, "I told you this last week." And I would look at him completely with a blank stare. And I may have heard, like you said, I may have heard him say something, but I didn't hear it correctly. Right. So I didn't necessarily know that. But I think the other side of it is, our quality of our relationship, he used to say, "You never listen to me." And it wasn't intentional. It was just the fact that I couldn't hear. And I think the other thing is when you check out of conversations, I know for me, there was this switch, just it was almost autopilot with me. If I got into a crowd or a group of people and there was background noise, there's no way I could hear. And so I would just sit there and just smile and not even pick up what was going on. So my quality of life, the other thing is I talked really much louder than I needed to, because I was trying to get people to talk louder. Right? So I think that's part of it too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not being able to monitor yourself, but it's really good that you brought that up, because that's exactly why people do it. Is that's how people get into fights, is they start talking loudly and it goes and goes and goes. But nonetheless, it's a coping mechanism to it. And so a lot of people really are trying to, how can I navigate this without actually doing something about it? So that can be a big part of it. But there's so many elements here that I can tell you that we never hear somebody say, I wish I'd waited to do this.
No,
That's not
never.
not the factor there.
No.
So it's interesting that, we see 7 years or so before people are going in. And it really is something that can be taken care of much sooner.
Yeah.
One other thing that I think is important to point out is there's no downside to wearing a hearing aid as early as you need it. It does not cause additional hearing loss. This is not something where you have to worry about, oh, well, if I had waited, it wouldn't have gotten to this point. It actually is preventative in the way that it does keep the brain active, healthy, stimulated, and that will help to give you usable hearing the rest of your life. What I can tell you is that hearing loss is sort of, it's going to happen. If it's going to happen, it will be there regardless of putting a hearing aid in your ear or not.
Yeah.
But then, as I say, if you stimulate the brain, then it says, okay, I know how to use this sound because it never really missed out on it. So that can make a big impact. But the people who sometimes do struggle a bit more with hearing aids are ones who wait a really long time and say, okay, now I'm ready. And I have actually, personally seen some of those patients as well, where they will say, okay, the best result with your hearing aid won't be perfect because we are in a situation where we've waited so long that we don't get those best results.
Well, and the other thing I'm going to talk about is strain factor, stress and strain factor. I obviously talk for a living, right? I interview people. And so when I don't hear well, I'm stressing myself out more, right? And what I am finding is that I'm not as stressed anymore when I'm at the end of the day. I don't feel as exhausted when I've been trying to listen to a guest on my show, and when I've been recording sometimes for 3-4 hours and in a spot, in a long stretch. And those are the things I think that if you're in a profession where you need to talk to people and hear people, the hearing aids I am finding much less. I'm more rejuvenated at the end. I don't feel like I'm worn out like I did before. So it's
100% proven. Yeah. I mean, that, that is something that a lot of people don't ever think about. And if I get a hearing aid, I'll have more energy at the end of the day. Nobody is ever really putting that out there too much, but
I totally
it's very
do.
true. Very true.
Totally
And so
do.
I've compared that to almost like if you had your computer, if you think about, okay, if my computer can run a certain amount of information at one time, but I have one program that is taking up all the energy there of it, of the sort of the memory working memory there. Okay, so if that's happening, that means everything else is slowed down. Sure. And that's what's really happening is you have hearing taking up so much of your energy and your capacity. Totally. Everything else goes away. And also we know that hearing loss can oftentimes make you feel like you're one step behind. So now I missed that one word, but this person's continuing to talk. Oh my gosh, I missed the topic. And maybe they're talking about us buying new shoes or something. And now they keep saying red, but I don't know what we're talking about. And you're in this mode of just like this back and forth of, can I even catch up?
And trying to catch up. So it's
that's
a strain
exhausting
factor.
for sure.
It is exhausting. And how many times do I sit back and I say, Suzanne, you could have made it so much easier had you faced this before. But it took me a while. And I sit back and I think, what was I afraid of? And I think number one, I didn't know what to expect. I was afraid of what was going to come out, I think. But the other thing, it was my vanity. It was the fact that I didn't want to be quote unquote old. I didn't want to face aging, but really what it was doing is I was getting old, not hearing. I was, striving to hear and speaking up louder than I needed to, and all those things. So realistically, that's just kind of the comical part, because now my quality of life is so much better. It's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things that my personal motto in life is not one more thing. It's like I avoid adding one more thing just for the sheer knowing, like not knowing how much impact it will make in terms of, will it be more stressful? Will it not? And that's what I can tell you is your provider is there to be the one who helps handhold this. The entire concept of here.com is that we have a consultant helping you on our end to walk you through every step of the way, and you have a provider on the other end there to help you once you're through the door.
Yeah.
And then we help throughout the process thereafter. But it's something that the goal is that you don't have to really worry about it. And that's what I've always told all of my patients was, you know what, let me do the heavy lifting here in terms of the helping you learn this, helping you understand it. You just need to put it in your ear every day, and then you know what, the rest of it will take care of itself. And that's a big part of it.
And when I first got the hearing aids, I didn't wear them the full day. That was okay. I had to adjust to my brain, adjusting. Now I wear them, I put them on first thing in the morning, and I don't take them off till late at night. And they're easy, they're rechargeable. I don't have batteries that I have to deal with. I just put them in the little case and I close the lid. And, I have a cat, I have dogs, they don't get into them, which hearing aids tend to be kind of a magnet for animals to want to play with. But what I found is that it's so easy. It's the most probably easiest thing. And I so just underestimated the quality of life that I had because I didn't realize. It's just like when you first have to wear glasses, you don't realize how blind you are until they put those, those frames, the glasses on your eyes. It's the same situation. And I know for me, I'm so grateful to you guys. You have been so helpful. And to all of our listeners out there, I hope that you'll consider at least going to hear.com. And I promise you, that we only feature the cream of the crop on our program. And I am so impressed with hear.com and looking forward to doing that. And of course, hear.com is national. So those of you that are listening on podcasts or have loved ones that have hearing loss in other parts of the United States, they can help them too. You guys are connected pretty much through all 50 states, are you not?
Absolutely. Yes, we are in every state. So easy to connect, with someone, there. We do also offer teleaudiology services if you have a loved one who maybe has mobility issues or is just simply very far from providers, in terms of being out in rural areas. So, with that, we can pretty much match up whatever makes the most sense for that person. But, all in all, it's really about starting the conversation and this, going to, our website, hear.com, and then basically that starts everything. And that starts the process of really figuring out, what's the right direction and right step for you.
Yeah. And there's no financial obligation to even get your hearing checked. So there's no downside. So Hope, thank you so much for being on the show with us today. I am so appreciated. And again, to everyone, check out hear.com. That's HEAR.com. Right now, there's a free trial right now, 45 days to check it out. So find out if it's for you. And thank you so much for being on the show today.
All right. And thank you for having us. We certainly appreciate the opportunity and always the opportunity to help more people.
Wonderful. And for those of you, again, I've told my story every time. We're always happy. Anybody that's wanting to know a little bit more about my experience, you're all welcome to reach out to us at Answers for Elders. And in the meantime, this week, remember one thing, be good to each other. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Answers for Elders radio show with Suzanne Newman hopes you found this podcast useful in your journey of navigating senior care. Check out more podcasts like this to help you find qualified senior care experts in areas of financial, legal, health and wellness, and living options. Learn about our radio show, receive promotional discounts, and meet our experts by clicking on the banner to join the Senior Advocate Network at AnswersForEldersRadio.com. Now there is one place to find the Answers for Elders.